Last week, there was an uproar about a cricket match being played by a rogue nation who had allegedly shot some of our civilians a few months ago. Twitter or X was up in arms about boycotting that match, forfeiting that match, and I realized that human beings, unlike animals, use their cerebral cortex to become very defensive. That means they protect their ego, don't want to accept that maybe some choices that they've made have not turned out the way they hoped, and are extremely defensive about accepting that what they had hoped their country, their authorities, or people who they kind of depended upon have let them down. Welcome to today's episode of How Not to Be Defensive. As I read, I realized that the defense mechanism of scapegoating was on full display. Everyone on Twitter, or most of them actually, were blaming the cricketers, the coaches, the channels, no one really calling out the real decision makers who had given a green signal to play. What is scapegoating? Scapegoating is a defense mechanism used by a human to protect his or her ego. That means they feel so ashamed, they feel exposed about the choices that they've made. They don't want to accept that what they possibly thought would turn out in a certain way has not. That means it's either been a poor choice, a wrong call, or just generally an illusion of something that they had hoped for. The nationalism and patriotism that they had hoped for or were singing praises about was actually very selective. It was only segmental and attributed to certain things. The citizens, when faced with this truth, kind of couldn't stand it and began to deflect. Scapegoating basically picks up a vulnerable group or individual and begins to put the blame on them for one's own failures, mistakes, or inabilities. Scapegoating happens when there is a kind of a strange closure or catharsis because one puts the blame on an outsider, not taking into account that what one had backed or betted upon has unfortunately not panned out. This inability to bear one's poor choices leads one to become defensive. If you and I want to lead a less defensive life, it is important for us to accept ourselves. We do make mistakes, we do make poor judgments, we do kind of bet on the wrong horse, and it is okay to err. But the minute you start wanting to protect your selfhood, you want to protect the choices that you've made, you don't want to accept the truths that stare you in the face, you will obviously run all the time for cover when things and the truths are unbearable for you. Except don't scapegoat. If you like what you hear, please hit the like button, please do share my video, and of course continue to write to me at varkha@varkhacholani.com. Till next week, it's goodbye and thank you.